The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
Greetings and welcome to another episode of Bermuda's Feel Good Early Morning Show. Good day, Bermuda, supported by Pizza House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jacky Lambert, and we want to thank you for getting up bright and early with us on this Friday morning. Jack, how you feeling this morning?
I feel great. Guys, just a heads up, we're testing a new way to deal with Star. She's right here. Find it. So wish us luck.
We are wishing us really great success today, because if not just Jacky and I, Star will also be ready to bring you some feel good vibes this morning. So if you haven't already done so, please take a minute to share this episode wherever you're watching, because today we're going to be talking about women in leadership roles that are traditionally held by men. That's a conversation we definitely think you don't want to miss, primarily because we've seen a lot of shift in leadership roles around not only Bermuda, but the world in general. So we definitely want to talk about that. So make sure you stick around for that. And later on, if you want to laugh to get your morning started, make sure you stick around for our feel good vibe of the day, which is joke time with Jacky. Now, earlier in the week, we started to talk about this topic, but then we kind of ventured off to the left. But we want to bring it back because this is a conversation I love talking about, because it's something that I'm a part of. It's very near and dear to my heart at this point. So who are some of the domestic teams and clubs that you support on the island? We saw some folks in the comments. I think when we had Sadea on, there were a few folks sharing with us their sports clubs, who they support, lifelong supporters or bandwagon newbie supporters. It's fine. So let's talk about it. Who are your domestic sports teams and clubs that you support, rain, blow, or shine? You are there to all of their games. You come out to all of their events. Let's talk about it. Jack, you obviously have to go first because everyone knows me, but that's all she.
I'm coming out, kids. I support North Village.
She says it like we didn't already know, but in case you didn't know, every time we've had this conversation, Jacky will say, well, I go to Village games, or I have a lot of friends that are for Village, or they coach Village, or they play for Village. And we're like, so you're for Village? Yeah. No.
Well, you know what? I'm just going to accept it. You know, it takes a long time to accept these things.
But like, outside of just your friend group and like, you know, having people that play for Village or do things for Village, what else is it about Village that you love or like that keeps you going back?
So I like the community vibe that's over there, the family. Like they all take care of each other. Everybody's just like, all right, you're straight, cool. And I sat around and I used to witness it, like, you know, just watch. And that's my personality. Though I love to engage, I also at the same time try and simultaneously watch people's actions and how, like, their organizational skills, how they do things. Because myself, I run a program as well, or my family runs their little programs as well. So I like to compare, contrast, stuff like that. And I just liked how it felt like home, like the same way that it feels when I'm doing and running our programs. So, it was just an easy field. And of course, now that I'm at the National Tennis Stadium, it's just easy for me to obviously walk over. My niece now plays netball for North Village, so it's easy for everything's right in that vicinity. So everything's literally walking distance.
I love it. And so we have a comment from Sean Smith. But before we get to that, if you're just joining us, go ahead and let us know in the comments who are your domestic sports teams or clubs that you support. Let us know in the comments as you're joining us. So Sean Smith says, nothing can stop a wild pack of zebras. Now, clearly, if you don't know, that's PHC Zebras. And we did have Coach Sadea on earlier this week. Monday, she is a coach of the youth program over there at PHC. So shout outs to her, as well as all of the Zebras that are watching. I have a best friend that plays for Zebras. And so I did go support his games. And listen, them Zebra friends are real.
Well, one of my favorite Zebra friends fans is Akil Darrow.
Okay.
When I first met Akil, I didn't realize how deep in it he was until one day he's like, come with me to the game. And I was like, all right, cool. And he's just like, all right, stay right here. And I was just like, okay. And then he disappeared and then he came back. And I was just like, I don't know why it's taken so long. And I was like, somebody was like, who you heard with? I was like, Akil. And then she's like, you mean the actual zebra that's running around the field? And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. I'm here looking for him. And he is in the zebra mascot outfit, uniform, running around cheering. I was just like, gotta love them. So it's not like I'm not a fan of other teams.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally the next one over would be Zebras and then Cougars.
Okay, so Jackie has a top 3 that she possibly would go for. If you're just joining, this is the first time you've ever seen this show, I have one team and one team only. That's Parish. I'm a hot pepper from a baby, like 5 years old. I was a majorette and now I'm the secretary of the club. So for me, there's no other place. I do obviously for cup match, I am for St. George's because I lived on the eastern end of the island. But when it comes to all things other sports related, it's Parish. And so if Parish don't have a team, I just watch everybody. So I pull a Jackie and I'm like, everyone's my favorite.
I love how you was just like, St. George's. I'm sitting here with my red lips, Somerset. The universe just knew that you was going to try to bring up a I just have to come through and through.
I mean, I had to because if nothing else, it is getting close. Like, it's just 2022. I am not going to start the banter early. I don't have anything to say when it comes to Cup Match 2022. I am just going to go or watch and enjoy and see what happens. I have been disappointed over the last few years, so I'm just going to humbly watch the match this year.
Oh, I wish all your St. George's fans and friends would do the same.
And we talked about this before, right? There is a great culture of banter on the island of Bermuda, so it's definitely like ride or die, like for my team. Through like even Parish fans, like sometimes I'm like, you guys are like reckless, like you guys are like super into this.
Yeah, if there's no banter, it's just like, why are we here? Like it takes the fun of it. Like the competition is part of the competition is the banter.
Exactly. And so it's like one of those things where it's like, I get it. I do get the cup match banter. Cup match banter is really, really, I guess, heightened because it's like two sides of the island. Where it's like, when you have in the domestic sports leagues, it's smaller groups because there's so many different teams. And it really depends on like your lineage or like your history with the club or the team and like, how deep rooted you go with your banter. But I feel like cup match banter is definitely top tier. So if you haven't let us know your cup match team, let us know in the comments who you go for cup match. When do you start your cup match banter? Like, okay, we're like doing football banter all year round because the league is basically like 9 months. When do you start your cup match banter?
When St. George's talks too much.
Like,
seriously, I am that person. Like, I'll let you live and be happy-go-lucky all you want until you start trash talking. And then I'm just like, okay, this is what we're not going to do. If you don't start, nothing won't be nothing. That's my motto.
That is hilarious. And I mean, I have seen, as a St. George's fan, I definitely see the banter, and I'm like, it's getting a little too much now, guys. It's getting a little too much. We haven't won anything for a while. Like, we can't be out here acting like we're the biggest, baddest team, and we haven't shown them we're the biggest, baddest team.
I think from a young age, so I lost a match that I didn't want to lose. And I remember being upset. My dad was just like, the great Arthur Ashe once said, anybody could win or lose on any given day. And I was just like, oh, that is so humbling because I don't want to be that person that's out there talking trash, like the biggest of trash. And then I lose. Like now I have to walk off the court slowly. It's like the longest walk ever. And then I have to deal with all these people, and it's embarrassing. I just refuse to put myself in embarrassing situations. So my thing is, I don't mind finishing it, but I'm not gonna be the one to start it. And most times I keep it very like semi-PC. I'll be like, so you remember the year, whatever, when you got talking trash and then you lost? It could potentially be that same thing. So let's try to keep it as calm as possible. Talk your trash about the players. You can say you're like, you're going to lose, but don't get too aggressive with it, because I don't want you to have to take that long, lonely walk back to the loser corner. It's lonely over there.
It's very lonely, even with the team. It's very lonely for sure. If you're just joining us, Jacky and I are discussing our domestic football, or not necessarily football, sports teams in general, as well as clubs that we support. So go ahead and let us know in the comments who it is you support and why. Because we all know, well, we knew why Jacky supported Village. She clearly was just a little bit in denial about it. She didn't want to accept it. She has moved through the 5 stages of grief. It wasn't necessarily a grief situation, but she has moved through those 5 stages, and she's at the point of acceptance, y'all. She accepts that she is a Village fan, Village supporter, and that's that. Nothing more for her to discuss, deny, anything like that. But I do think, after having been in the position that I'm in with my club and having engaged with the president of Village, I definitely see that community element that exists there. And even some of the people that I've met on their different committees, I definitely see that community element. So I hear what you're saying when you say, it's a community vibe over there. So it's like being with family.
Exactly. And like to that point, I just need them to kick me out now.
Do you mean kick you out?
Kit.
Oh,
Kit.
Kit. I was like, Jacky, why would they kick you out? That is
tracksuit, because y'all been pushing me to be Village, so I need my Village tracksuit.
I mean, so we could just call Uncle Sharon and put in your order and figure that out. Get your sizes.
Uncle Sharon, I need a jacket.
We'll definitely get your size. And speaking of that, I saw that St. George's has some jackets that they're selling now. They have like a light version and a dark version. So
I love that, but I have no use. Like I can't even.
You have no desire to buy it. Yeah, I know. I know you have. You're not excited about it. But what I do love, and I do hope that, more clubs get into this space, is merchandising. Like that is another stream of revenue that, because of the pandemic, even with the limitations on grounds, not having so many people with the safe key, which apparently is going to have some updates later today. So FYI, during, I think, is it the House today? There's some speech sitting going on today, and they're actually going to be announcing some changes to SafeKey. So stick around for that. Hopefully it impacts the domestic football league specifically positively, because that has been probably the biggest contention of going to games. I don't even think people are upset about getting tested or needing to get tested. It's just having to do both and the limitations that exist at these grounds. So we're hoping for good vibes when it comes to the SafeKey announcement and any other coronavirus related updates, because moving and living with the pandemic is definitely on our radars for sure. Now, I don't know if we should take a commercial break. So Jacky and I have been talking about the domestic sports clubs and teams that we support, I guess. By and large, that means they are our favorites. So if you haven't already, drop in the comments who it is you support and why. Jacky and I will be right back after this commercial break, and then we'll talk about our feel good topic of the day, which is a conversation we definitely think you'll be a part of. So make sure you stick around for that.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio, home of Bermuda's most engaging morning talk shows, The Daily Hour and Good Day Bermuda. Download the app, available for Android and Apple devices. BCG Radio, your station for conversations and entertainment.
Welcome back to Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pizza House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Tetuku alongside Jackie Lambert. And if you're just joining us for our Field warm up, we were discussing domestic sports clubs and teams that we support. So if you haven't already, let us know who you support. Drop that in the comments right now. I see a comment from Jody Virgil. She says, "Morning, ladies. I have always supported North Village, and I love the emphasis on working to holistically work. Emphasis on working to holistic student athletes. Got it. Got you. Got you. Have you seen that, Jack? Because I do know you said your niece plays netball with them.
Mhm.
So have you seen like what about their netball program kind of keeps your niece there from what you've seen?
So I actually know most of the coaches. So one of the girls that I used to teach tennis, all her friends, so I used to call her my little sister, like sister. So I took her on as one of my littles. She had her friends, so these are just the extension of her. So I took them on as my little sisters as well, and to know that, like, to know who they are, what they represent, and now they're taking care of my niece. That's a part of it. But they have they have a youth program on, I believe it's Tuesdays and Thursdays, where they work with the youth. What is it called? It's, of course, it's Pat. Like, I didn't think I was going to talk about this. Not even there. But I know Jody Virgil actually, I believe she was spearheading it.
Okay.
Toya Otterbridge. What is it called?
Maybe Miss Jody can remember what it is you're talking about. So maybe we should drop that in the comments for us to help you along. Because I do love that aspect that you're talking about. I think it's great that they are
life skills.
Oh yeah, she says I'm blessed to use my education skills to facilitate the life skills program, which is a new program, but that's great. We definitely need to hear more about that, and for sure, because I feel like, you know, every club doesn't necessarily have to have this specific program, but it would be dope if all clubs had some type of program that could, you know, create and empower holistic student athletes, because some students do have the talent to be full-on athletes. Like that's their thing. And other people are just doing it for exercise, or they love the sport and they might not be as focused on being a student athlete, but they can reap the benefits of being a student athlete until such time that they want to, you know, pivot to something else. So I definitely think this program would be dope. Now, I want to bring this comment in from Carlton Fleming, because I actually haven't heard anyone speak about this particular team. So Carlton says Blazers was his team. He was a manager when they won an FA Cup. So Carlton, you have to tell us when they won this cup. We got to shout them out. Because we just recently had the Shield preliminary, the Friendship preliminary happened on Wednesday as well. My team went through. Shout out to Peppers for making it through. It's a little hairy out there. It's a little scary. I'm sitting on that bench like, come on, guys. What happened? Did you guys want to play? Mind you, I think that's what I mentioned about night games previous. Like, night games are a different type of game, because when you play on Sunday, like, that's all you're doing. Like, you just woke up. That's the first thing you're doing for the day, per se. And then you got the rest of the day to yourself. Exactly. Night game, especially if you have a job. Don't talk about you have a job where you're like doing physical activities, and these guys were definitely playing like they were tired. Like they were bless their hearts, because it couldn't have been me. It couldn't have been me.
There was a game last night, and somebody had hit me up asking if I was going to the game, and I was just like, "You mean the game that starts at 8 p.m.?" You know how long my week has been. I'll have to see how I feel after I get home and deal with Star, because the last thing I feel like doing is remembering that I was supposed to go to something after I've sat on my couch. So you sit down and you're just like,
that emoji.
Yeah, like, what I got.
It's a hard pass. So speaking of life skills that Jody Virgil mentioned earlier, she said, we've collaborated with Pride. Latoya Otterbridge is a facilitator too. It's really amazing, and we wish to grow it even more. And Pride, she's talking about Pride Bermuda. She says, our focus is empowering you to make good decisions and strengthen self-esteem. I really think this program's dope. So I definitely would love to learn more about it, and, you know, just figure out how we can create more activities for the youth to do that's positive, because there's enough negative things for them to experience and encounter, but there doesn't seem to be much positive things getting the attention. Not saying that there isn't stuff out there, it's probably just not getting as much attention because positivity isn't as exciting. Question mark. On that note, though, we're going to switch to our focus topic of the day. Jackie and I want to talk about women in leadership roles that are traditionally held by men. Now, today we were supposed to have a guest, but unfortunately, we weren't able to connect with her for today. So hopefully, we can reschedule her. But in keeping with that same type of conversation that we were going to have with her, we decided to talk about women in leadership roles. So we just want to start off by saying or asking, who are some women leaders that you admire? They don't have to be Bermudian, but if they are Bermudian, that is great as well. So, Jackie, who are some women leaders that you admire?
So I had mentioned it earlier. The Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley. I just like the way she talks to people. It's soothing. Like, I've listened to a bunch of her speeches, and I feel empowered. I feel capable, but at the same time, I feel at peace. I don't know if it's her tune, the vibrations that she sends over when she's talking, but I just be like, oh yeah, I could do all things. And then not many people know about her, but Katrina Adams, she actually was the first Black female to do 2 terms for the USTA as president of the USTA. And now she has a high role in the International Tennis Federation, ITF, and they don't have a lot of representation for Blacks or females, and now she is doing both. And she has also Harlem Tennis Academy. It's a community academy, so they are in, obviously, kind of like the rougher parts of Harlem, and they do a lot for the community, scholarships. They do after school programs. So as soon as you finish school, you come there, and they will do, the facility is beautiful. They do your school work, and then you'll actually move into your other activities, but it's not just tennis that they have available. They have other things available to you as well. And that's what she's trying to do for not just the youth, but the Black youth, to give them more options other than just simply getting in trouble. So those are my top 2 internationals.
I love that. So bringing it closer to home, Carlton Fleming says Paula Cox is amazing. I definitely think when I saw her interview on the Daily Hour, I appreciated just like her poise, just like how she answered the questions. Like, she just definitely seems like someone that you could like just learn from.
Like the obviously how I was saying Mia Mottley, I think she reminds me of her as well. It's just easy. Like, you know how some people, you talk to them and they're just like, oh, something like, you're making me feel uncomfortable, or you're making me feel dumb, because you know that they're smarter than you, they have more knowledge than you, but they don't make you feel dumb when they're talking to you. Some people that are educated a certain way or have been through certain things, sometimes when they're in a place of power, the power gets to them, and they start to talk to you in a condescending tone. And I've never gotten that from her. So yeah.
Me either. And just like I said, seeing that interview with her, it just was like, because I hadn't seen her for a while, like doing any public interviews or any conversations really, and I'm not close to her family to like just bump into her. So just to see that, like you said about Mia Mottley, it definitely felt like a conversation, like someone you could look up to and be like, yeah, the way she carries herself is definitely some things that I would like to kind of embody in my own leadership experience. So I definitely can agree with you on that one. I know for me, my top, one person that I admire, I don't know if people would consider this person to be a leader, but I do. It's Angela Davis. I really love when she talks. She used to teach at Spelman. She wasn't a teacher there when I was there, but just the way she talks about, race issues and the issues that that the Black woman faces in the feminist conversation, and just how powerful she is, and like, she doesn't like come across as like this radical advocate when she speaks, but when the words that she says they're radical. Like, she is a rebel. Like, she is gonna shake the table. Like, she's definitely that type of person. But when she speaks, she's unassuming to me. And I just love that about her, because I feel like that's usually the best type of person to have in a movement, is someone that people kind of underestimate, and then they just come with like everything, and you're just like, whoa.
I mean, and you're just like, you possessed all of
that? Where did this come from? I wasn't ready. I absolutely love Angela Davis. And I appreciate also how she is so open to connecting with the younger generation and trying to pour into them and kind of help their movements. Like
Yeah.
she's never been someone, from my experience, just watching on the outside looking in, to be someone who would say, okay, well, your struggle isn't the same as my struggle, so we can't collaborate, or you don't know what I've been through.
Right.
She definitely doesn't seem like someone who would do that, and hasn't done that from what I've seen. So I definitely appreciate that as well, because like you said, when some people get power, or even when someone has been through something and another person hasn't, they can kind of make the other person feel like, well, you don't know.
Or just,
So
yeah, exactly.
very dismissive. Like, you don't know what it was like for me at that time. So your struggle isn't the same as mine, or it's less than mine. So I really appreciate her for that. Another person was Michelle Obama. And I think she's a little bit more public facing as the first lady of the 44th president. But one of the things that I like about her as well is just she's always trying to like push the positive message out there. And she's always definitely trying. From what I've seen, she spoke at my school the year before I graduated. So she was the commencement speaker for 2011. My year had Oprah. And I was kind of like low-key upset. But I did get to see Barack Obama, so it's fine. When he spoke at Morehouse. And just from everyone's like debrief and what they felt about that conversation, that commencement speech, she definitely is a very inspiring woman. Just the way she speaks to people definitely would make you be like, all right, I'm ready to do this. I could take on the world.
Have you read her book, Becoming?
Not yet. I've seen the documentary though.
Do you have her book? Because I can lend you my copy, because honestly, I read it. I mean, I don't mind reading it again, but to see her story, what she was able to accomplish, where she came from, all that stuff, I feel like everybody would appreciate her more. Well, you say you see the documentary, but I feel like people would appreciate her a little bit more with what she went through, or what they went through as a unit, but definitely her side of the story.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting to hear her side of the story, because, as the first lady, all of the focus is on the president, because he is the leader of the free world. So all of the attention, or most of the attention, was on him. From a policy perspective, I think family maybe as well, maybe more her on the family side, and the fashion for her. But I feel like, having watched her documentary and just seeing parts of her story, it was interesting. One thing I did take away though, which I don't know if anyone else noticed this, her staff wasn't as diverse as I would have thought it would have been. Just my personal takeaway, like I thought it would have been a little bit more people that look like us, women and men, but it was a lot of white folks calling the cattle what it is. And I thought that was interesting, because it would have been nice to see more diversity to kind of go with the way we as Black people see ourselves in those spaces. Like, we see ourselves having a diverse group around us, or that's the image we put out there. So that was like it's like, that was interesting. But like you said, the story was still an inspiring story, and I definitely feel like it's a story that people should hear, because like with all things, all you see is what they present in the public eye, and you're like, oh, this is the perfect situation. They can't be going through anything crazy. What are you talking about? They're always smiling. Meanwhile,
because it's always different ends. Like, everybody wants to be like, the president, or Beyonce and Jay-Z, not realizing that they have their struggles as well. They can't go and just calmly sit in and watch the child's recital without people bombarding them for autographs, because everybody now feels entitled to their time. They can't just simply walk out the house and go for a walk without having to make sure that their security knows that they're going for a walk. They can't just go out on the front yard and watch the fireworks or whatever with everybody else, because they have to make sure that they look good. Like, that was part of one of her things in her story. She was getting ready to run out the house, because I think it was like 4th of July and there were fireworks, or there was something happening. So they went outside and she got stopped, and she was just like, what are you doing? There's just like, the paparazzi is out there. You're going to get scrutinized for being in your pajamas. You're already Black. Like, if somebody else had gone on the pajamas, they'd be like, oh, look, we got to see him in the pajamas. Whereas if it was that scenario, they'd be like, They can't even change the clothes to come outside and be presentable. So it's two sides of the coin. And I just think that how they carry through, knowing full well that a lot of people weren't excited about them being in that power. I think that they carried themselves fairly well, especially herself.
Absolutely. And I want to ask this next question because I'm interested to kind of hear what the audience thinks or has to say about this particular question. I think it's something we've talked about previously when we talked about female premiers on the island. So we'll see if we can expand on that particular conversation. So do you think more women should get into roles that are traditionally held by men, such as CEO or president of an organization? I feel like we've seen it start to happen more frequently.
Mhm.
But I'm interested to know if people think there's more to be done or there's more that can be done. So let us know in the comments if you think more women should get into some of these top positions that are generally held by men, and not just the administrative assistant or the secretary. Like, I mean, like the CEO, the CFO, the president, the person making the decisions, like they're the head. They're the one that says the final yay or nay. Do you think, what are your thoughts, Jack?
I think that they should be given the opportunity to do so if they have the ability to do so. And I think that because if by chance you go up for a role and a man goes up for a role, but he isn't qualified, doesn't have a good plan and to set in motion, but he gets picked above you, I'm a call BS. But if by chance you go in there ill prepared, he goes in there prepared, then that's the case where I'll choose him. But I think that women need to be given more opportunities instead of being shut out. A lot of the times, because we're sitting on the outside looking in, our perspective is a little different. Our ideas may differ. You know how they say you got to take a step and look from the outside, and those who are looking from the outside and have a different view, different vantage point. I think that if a woman is coming into the picture and she has the great ideas, for example, I've sat with Hazel Clark from the BTA, and she has some brilliant ideas, and they are now starting to give her the power to do so. And that's a great thing. And I think it should carry on if the woman, and I know people are going to be like, but if she has the potential to make the change that is necessary for progress or even a positive impact, we should absolutely be all for it.
So I want to come to this comment from Sean Smith. He says, yes, women should reach for the stars, build the damn spaceship if need be. So if we have some women out there that are interested in building spaceships, please do, because Sean Smith is definitely on your side.
Yeah, like I said, I've seen cases where I've sat at tables and I'm listening to people, women have great ideas and it's being shut down because they're just like, oh, you don't understand, you're a woman. Yes, I've heard it. And I'm just like, I'm sorry. Am I not sitting in the same room doing the same thing as you, experiencing the same things? I know exactly what is needed for us to be pushed forward. You guys have tried this time and time again, and it doesn't work. Sometimes we do have to have representation in female form. For example, when it comes to tennis in Bermuda, yes, I'm going to bring it up. 90% of the time, the men are the only ones that are being taken care of. The men are the only ones that are traveling and representing Bermuda because they're saying that there's not enough women, but you're not making sure that you're starting from the grassroots up to make sure that you're able to develop those individuals to represent Bermuda in the female sector. Why? Because you don't have any women in there to help you build the programs. But
and that's a good point too, to have people at both levels, right? So to have the students and to also have the people in those top positions, because like even what Sean Smith was saying, like reaching for the stars, like that's a great concept for us to do, but there has to be environments that actually allow for mistakes by women, because I also feel like there's the other side of this coin. Being the top person in a company comes with a lot of responsibility, and there are a lot of men that get, oh, that's an okay mistake to make, or that's all right, that those things happen. Whereas if a woman does it, it is blown out of proportion from my perspective, or it's made to be such a big deal. That's why we shouldn't have picked a woman, or that's why we shouldn't have, given her that opportunity, instead of, like you said, developing people to be able to deal with these situations as they come.
Right.
So I definitely would be interested to see, like, both sides. So women being mentored into those spaces or like developed into those spaces, but also already having people to look at that can sponsor them in the event that that is something they wanted. Because not everyone wants to be the CEO of a company or the president of a company, but for those that do, we shouldn't make it difficult for them or make it seem like because you want to do that, you can only get this far. You can only be the secretary. Like that's as far as you can go. So I would love to see, not only more women in leadership roles, but for the environment to kind of help foster that growth and not just say we're checking this off because we have a diversity and inclusion group in our company and that's why we're doing it. Like, no, it should be a culture. It should be a cultural thing. I think the patriarchy is a thing that is just here. It's not going anywhere. It is centuries old, if not millennia old at this point. So it's definitely something that I don't know how you break that mindset, but I definitely think we need to shift away from it because if we don't, we're always going to have this conversation where women are either not applying because they don't feel qualified or they're not applying because they've heard a conversation where someone says she doesn't deserve that role, or she's not qualified for the role, et cetera, et cetera.
I think everybody has something in them I think everybody has the potential to be a leader. It's just whether they want to or not. If they do want to, because some people are just like, I am quite content being not the assistant, but say VP and just being your support system. That's where they want to be. That's fine. But if somebody comes in and they're just like, I have great ideas. I want to say be the president of BFA because this X, Y, and Z, but these are the people that I want to bring along with me, work with them to make it better. Why are we going to shut out people that could potentially make the exact change necessary for Bermuda sport to go to that next level, to hit that next caliber? I just don't know why you'd shut it out just because of a gender.
Mm-hmm.
Gender should never come into the equation when it comes to bettering yourself.
Exactly. And for those of you that are joining, that was an example. That is not Jackie saying that that's happened at the BFA. So she definitely was using that as an example because football is our favorite sport, apparently, outside of tennis, on which I have a session tomorrow with Jackie, weather permitting.
It's going to be great weather. It's going to be great weather as I check
it is. You would, because we haven't had any sessions over the last 2 weeks. Mind you, the last 2 weeks weren't supposed to be sessions anyway, so I was kind of glad. But now I'm like, all right, these next 2 weeks are my weeks, y'all. So I need you to.
It's supposed to be a nice warm 70.
Oh, I like that.
Right? Perfect tennis weather. Not too hot, not too cold. Maybe like a slight breeze,
very slight, because I gotta do my thing. We'll begin over her. On that note, Jackie and I are going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back with our Feel Good Vibe of the day, which is joke time with Jackie. So make sure you stick around because Jackie has the corniest dad jokes to share with you when we come right back.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio, home of Bermuda's most engaging morning talk shows, The Daily Hour and Good Day Bermuda. Download the app, available for Android and Apple devices. BCG Radio, your station for conversations and entertainment.
Welcome back to Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pizza House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert. And if you're just joining us today, we finally got Jackie to admit that she is a Village fan. Our domestic sports teams and clubs that we support, and we finally got Jackie to admit that she's a Village person. If you did not know, I am for Parish. That is my home club, the only club that I support outside of Cop Match, which we all know Jackie is for Somerset. If you can't tell by her lips, you would know when it's time, when the banter begins, you know who she's for. And I am for St. George's. We also talked about women in leadership roles that are traditionally held by men. We shared some of our favorite and some of the women that we are inspired by that are in leadership roles, as well as whether we think women should start to be in more of the spaces that are traditionally held by men. And so if you didn't get a chance to participate in that conversation, feel free to drop that in the comments right now. We are actually going to transition to our Feel Good Vibe of the day, which is Joke Time with Jackie. This is probably most people's favorites. It's my favorite part of the show as well because Jackie has the corniest jokes and I love to get it laughed to get my Friday and any morning started. So Jack, over to you.
Okay. First one. What washes up on the shores of small beaches?
Seashells.
Think about it.
The shores of small beaches. Tiny, I don't know.
Microwaves. Honestly, it's your laugh every single time. It just ping. Okay, what do you call a factory that makes okay products?
An okay factory.
Satisfactory. Okay, last one. What do you call a teenager who never grows up?
A mini, I don't know.
Constantine.
You know what? Every time I think about it, I want to do like, the Elmo laugh. And he's like, like, that's what I feel like. Oh my gosh, that was funny, Constantine. I can't lie, the microwaves was the best one.
Microwaves. Because when I first read it, I was just like, why would micro smaller?
Sean Smith loves them as well. Literally the best. As always, Jackie and I hope that today's Feel Good Vibe of the day has you ready to make it a great one. Thank you so much for watching and engaging with this episode of Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pizza's and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert, excuse me. We trust we'll see you next week, Wednesday. Jack and I will not be here Monday on Tuesday for more Feel Good conversations. Until the next episode, peace and have a good day, Bermuda.